All right, let me get to the right page here. Just jumping to the next lesson. All right, here's 156, which is the next lesson. Okay, here we go. Extracting the square root. Okay, so terms here. When you are squaring a number, all right, you are multiplying by itself. All right, so let's go down right away. We'll review here. And you look at A. This is squaring. E is squaring. You can circle these. I is squaring. C, G, those are all squaring. All right, so in all of them, you're multiplying the number by itself. So 7 times 7 is 49. 9 times 9.
Dad.
Ryden, I need you quiet. Shh. 1/2 times 1/2. Now in the world of fractions, when you multiply them by themselves, you get even smaller.
Come in here if you want to talk to me.
8 times 8. 10 times 10. All right, so that's the squares of all those numbers. The square root is what we're talking about today. The square root is the opposite of squaring. So in the square root, you're taking, for instance, let's look at the 7 squared. You're taking the 49, and they put a little symbol like this above it. It almost looks like a division. And they want to know what two numbers, when they're multiplied together, equal 49. So the square root of 49 is 7. It's just backwards. So 7 squared is 49, right? The square root of 49 is 7. It's like multiplying and dividing. So the square root of 81 would be the 9. The square root of 1/4 would be 1/2. The square root of 64, these are all the ones we just did, would be 8. And the square root of 100 would be 10. Do you see how it's just opposite? All right, so now let me clear off my page because it's all messy. And let's look at the ones that they have the square root. Oh, guess what? They're just doing those. So let's just go through it all again. So the square of 7 squared is 49, right? So the square root of 49 would be 7. I just told you all these. 8 square rooted would be 64. Square root of 64 would be 8. 9 square rooted would be 81. The square root of 81 would be 9. 10 square rooted would be 100. The square root of 100 is 10. 1/2 square rooted would be 1/4. The square root of 1/4 would be 1/2. 2/3 square rooted, I didn't do that one, did I? So that would be 2/3. And I guess I could just look at the next one to know. Would be 4/9. The square root of 4/9 would be 2/3. So they're just opposites. All right, let's look at the story problem. The area of a square is 36 feet. So what's the length of each side? So remember, a square is just the side squared, the area of a square. Remember that? So if our answer is 36, if we want to know each side, just square root it. So what two numbers multiplied together equal 36? The answer would be 6. Each side is 6 foot. All right. The radius squared is 81 meters squared. So this is a circle, and they're telling us that the radius is 81 meters squared. So what is the length and diameter? Well, what would be the square root of that? Oh, they want to know the length. All right, so this one gets a little trickier. Okay, so if our radius, the radius squared is 81. Whoops, I lost my pen. So the radius would be the square root of 81, which is 9, right? That's radius of our circle, would be 9. I'll draw the picture up top. So what would be the diameter of that circle? Well, diameter of the circle would be twice that, which is 18 inches. Or meters. This is in meters. Well, that kind of looks like an M anyway, minus the dot. All right, that was really sloppy. That one was a little tricky. All right, let's do time zones in number 3. Remember, we go back an hour this direction, forward an hour this direction. So for starting at noon, where we live, Chicago would be 11. Where my daughter lives would be 10. California would be 9. Alaska would be 8. And Hawaii would be 7. All right, if Hawaii is at 9 p.m., then Alaska would be an hour ahead, which would be 10 p.m. California would be 11 p.m. Annalise would be 12 a.m. midnight. Chicago would be 1 a.m. and we would be at 2 a.m. All right, if Mountain Time is at 4:30 a.m., then Pacific would be 3:30 a.m. Alaska would be 2:30 a.m. and Hawaiian would be 1:30 a.m. Central Time would be 5:30 a.m. and Eastern would be 6:30 a.m. All right, one more. Pacific. California. So Alaska, if Pacific's at midnight, California would be an hour before that. And Hawaiian would be another hour before. Mountain Time would be an hour ahead. So midnight, so that'd be 1 a.m. Oh, I'm wrong here. These are PMs. Sorry. Did you notice I messed up? It was midnight, so this would be 11 p.m. and 10 p.m. This is 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and 3 a.m. All right, so find the miles from the equator. So remember, we're using 69 as our averaged miles between each line of latitude. So we'll just do one of these together. And my kids, let's just do this one and this will be enough. So it'll be 69 times the 24. I get 1,656 miles, and I'm correct. Okay? All right, let's look at the back real quick. All right, convert these measures to the nearest whole degrees. All right, we haven't done this for a little while, so I'll just give you the formulas in case you forgot it. So the first one, you're looking for the Fahrenheit. So oops, I jumped. The Fahrenheit equals 9/5, and you'll multiply that by the Celsius right away. Then add the 32. All right, and the next one, you're looking for Celsius. So in that one, we don't do this part yet first. We do the Fahrenheit, take the Fahrenheit, minus the 32 first, and then do it times 5/9. These are easy. Just remember, when you convert these, the radius is 2.5. Double that and you get 5 feet. And so the circumference would be pi, which is 3.14, times the diameter for circumference. Area is pi times the radius squared. So you would do 2.5 times 2.5, and then times by 3.14. All right. All right, let's look at the story problems. A newspaper usually devotes 60% of its space to advertising. In a 12-page newspaper, how much pages would be used for advertising? So 60%, we could do we change that to 0.6 as a decimal. Then we just do that times 12. And remember, that's 72, right? And we move the decimal, put the decimal there. 7.2 pages, and they actually left it like that.
You have to go through, you have to wait in your car at the bank now.
You have to wait in your car?
Yes. Stupid as that.
Well, how do you do that? You live across the street.
They come out to your car.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy. All right, the area of Africa is about 11,700,000. I better write this. So it's 11,700,000 miles, square miles. There is an average of 80 people per square miles. Find its average population. So we would do 80 times 80 times this. But can we like hold off on all these zeros here and do 117 times 8? I'm going to do it up top here, and then we'll put the zeros in. Now let's put all those zeros in we didn't use. I see 6 of them we didn't use. And now we can put it in. So the average population is 936 million. Approximate population. All right? Yeah, it's so much easier if you just get rid of those zeros and put them back in. Otherwise, this is what you would have had to do. I mean, look how big that is compared to that. So much easier. All right, Mariah and Jessica planned to make a health bulletin board. Miss Bowen required them to use the meter stick. The width of the board measured 14 decimeters, and the length measured 16.5 decimeters. What is the area of the bulletin board? So I'm guessing they want us to convert these to meters first. Well, let's just figure out the area and then we'll convert it to meters, okay? So we're going to do 14. We want to do what we want the area of the bulletin board. So here's the width and here's the length. So we'll do 16.5 times the 14, and this is all in decimeters. Let me get rid of this right here. It's out of my way. Okay. And this is a 5, a 6, and a 1. All right. So this is decimeters. If we want to convert this to meters, think of it as a conversion problem. Decimeter, I can't write my I there. Decimeter to meter is smaller to larger. So we're going to divide. The question is how many steps between a decimeter and a meter? Well, it's just 1. So we're just going to divide by 10. So we just move a decimal over once. So it's 231 meters squared. Caitlin traveled east past 2 time zones. When it was 8:00 p.m. at her place of departure, what time was it at the place she was traveling to? So she's traveling east. So wouldn't it be 2 hours ahead? It would be, and that's all it is. Because if she's east, she's traveling this way. She's traveling east. This is west. So she's going this way. So they will be ahead of her. So it'll be 10 p.m. where she ends up. All right, you can do the rest on your own. And I think I'm going to stop right here. And I will do a couple more lessons tonight. Have a good day.